One of the little known features of Oracle Data Pump is the interactive command mode, which can give you a lot of control over a running data pump job. So let's take a look at it. The purpose of the interactive command mode is to be able to modify and query the status of a job so that you know exactly what's going on and can maybe change it in ways that would help performance or maybe compensate for other workloads on the system and do other things to the job that you might have forgotten to do in advance. So I'll give you an example of some of the commands that you can use. Now, it's important to recognize that some of these commands apply to both export and import, such as getting the status of a job, for example, or modifying the parallelism of the job while it's running. You can even change the tracing on a job and implement tracing if you decide that you need to diagnose some issues with it. But others may only be export or only on import. For example, the file size, the ability to change the dump file size that you are producing is, of course, only available on export because on import, the dump file size is already set. There are a wealth of commands that you can issue from the interactive command prompt to affect a running job, and you'll find those in the documentation. So now the next question is, how do you issue those commands? How do you access this interactive command mode? And there are two ways to do it. One is to simply hit Control-C during a running job. That will bring you to the interactive command prompt. You can issue commands and then tell the client to continue by issuing the continue client command. Another way to do it is to use the attach parameter on the data pump command line. You could have a data pump command running in one window and then in another window attached to that job and be able to monitor and affect that job using interactive commands. So I'll give you some examples of this in a very brief demo here. So let's just say that you start off and you've got a very simple export here. As you can see, it's a schema export, and we're just creating multiple dump files. But oops, we forgot to specify parallelism here. So this could impede our performance because we know we've got a lot of objects that we want to export here. So it started, and now we realize, oh, we forgot to specify parallelism. So we can break into the job with Control-C, and we can get the status of it. What that will show us is that there will be one and only one worker because our current parallelism for the job is just one. We didn't specify anything greater than that. We can then increase the parallelism for the job, and that will take effect immediately. When we continue the client, we will see the job progress, and then when we get to tables, we will be exporting multiple tables at a time. Now, another way to get to this would be to use the attach parameter using the job name. That is one of the very first lines in your data pump output is the name of the job. We can look at the status of it. And now we see that we have our current parallelism of the job is 4, and we have multiple workers spawned. Now, it's interesting that a couple of these workers seem to be idle at this point. And why is that? Well, look at the worker parallelism for worker 3. That's set to 3 right now. Worker 4 has a parallelism of 1. So what's going on here is that worker 3 has spawned 3 parallel query processes to do its work. Worker 4 is doing more work on its own. So you get now those 4 parallel processes, very similar to what I described earlier when I talked about export parallelism. So these interactive commands can really give you a look under the hood to see what's going on in the data pump engine, as it were, and allow you to control it, to manipulate it as a job is running.